Very good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar by VLAN Asia. Thank you for joining us today. So today, before we start, as usual, I'm going to just remind everybody that during the session, if you have any Q&As that you want to ask today's presenter on the topic, you can do so throughout the event by putting it on the Q&A section on the right-hand side of the screen. If it's not open, you can click the little blimp with the question mark on it, and you can open up that session. And on that section, you can actually put in your questions and we will take them. Besides that, you can also follow us on our social media, which is LinkedIn and Facebook, so you can get the updates on the upcoming webinars that we'll be hosting. And yeah, and also to get more information on our products and services, you can always drop us an email or WhatsApp us at the number which is displayed on the screen, 012-6266-0189, and we will get in touch with you. Okay, so for today's session, we have Chi Seng, again, as he's going to be presenting to us on personal branding. And yeah, so many of us have this question on whether or not we need personal branding in our lives or in this world of the digital age. Yeah, you may already leave digital footprints everywhere, right? You have your Facebook, social media, LinkedIn, which is building up on image of who you are. If you think you don't need to do any personal branding, you may be very mistaken, according to Chi Seng. In the sense, you already have a personal brand. It's a matter of whether you are chancing it, or are you crafting it to basically position yourself better, if I'm not mistaken, right? So today we have Chi Seng, our speaker that was going to present to us. Hi, welcome Chi Seng. Good afternoon. Yeah, your mic, yes, it's on now.
Hey, good afternoon, Norman. Thank you for the introduction.
Yeah, you look very smart today, Chi Seng.
Yeah,
Very
because I have
well
a client
dressed.
meeting coming up later as well. So
I see. Yeah,
be
it's
dressed.
also part of personal branding as well, right? We need to look smart while we present ourselves to whoever we're presenting to, right? It's
This is
important.
my secondary personal branding. My primary personal branding will be t-shirt and jeans.
The casual
So this
wear.
is this is like okay. This is Chiseng plus.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, Jising, so I'm going to pass this session to you. So it's over to you, Jising.
All right. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. I'm just going to start my sharing first. Okay, so as Norman had introduced, this session today will be about personal branding and why everyone needs it. And a little bit of story here. I myself have always felt that personal branding is something that you have an option. Let's put it that way. It's something for people who are ambitious in a certain way or who need attention even in a certain way. But what I've realized over the past year or two, actually, and even more so during the COVID-19 pandemic, that personal branding is becoming increasingly important. Not only for people who are freelancers, consultants, independent, self-employed people, but it's important even for students, even for employees of any level, even for C-suites. And because branding right now is the landscape of branding is changing, and even employees at up to C-suite level need some level of personal branding in order to be more effective in their work in their career. A little bit about me. I'm a writer and an authority builder. I spent the last 23 years in the communications business, and in the last, I think, 6 months, I've been pivoting towards helping people build their brand authority in the market. So if you want to connect with me, you can hop over to Facebook, visit my page, Chising Writes and Things. I'm on LinkedIn as well. Please connect with me at Chising Lai. Or if you want to see samples of my work, hop on over to my website at chisingwrites.com. Now, before I start, I just want to ask all of you a very simple question. All right, and well, you don't have to use your mics, but do put it up in your chats. When I show you this picture or this logo, what are the words that come to your mind? Right, just drop it into in the chat box, and let's have a quick interaction together. When you see this logo, what are the words that come to your mind? So I'm very sure that, well, at the very least, well, there are some basic words that come to our mind would be luxury, right? Status. What else? Luxury, status, power, even, right? Achievement, success, quality, and more than these words, I think it also evokes emotion in us, right? It evokes emotions of achievement, pride, satisfaction, power. So my question is, why does this symbol, why does this shape evoke such powerful feelings and thoughts in us? Because if you really think about it, it's just a circle with 3 spikes. A circle with 3 spikes, but it somehow evokes all these feelings, all these ideas in us. Now, if I showed you a very, very similar logo, a circle with 4 spikes, and if I told you, well, this symbol also represents power, it represents quality, it represents luxury, it represents status, it represents achievement, would you have any of these thoughts and feelings about this shape? I would bet probably my last dollar that none of you would have any of these thoughts and feelings about this particular shape, even though it's very similar. It's a circle with spikes, but instead of 3 spikes, it has 4 spikes. Now, why does the first picture have such powerful effect on us, and immediately it creates all these thoughts and ideas and feelings in us? And why does this picture, which is very, very similar, evoke nothing? It has no effect on us. And in fact, if I tell you that this represents the same thing as the circle with the 3 spikes, you probably feel some kind of negative reaction. No, this doesn't mean that. No, you cannot equate this with that. No, this means nothing to me. You don't tell me what this means. These are probably some of the emotions that you have. So why does that circle with 3 spikes have such a strong hold on our feelings and our thoughts that we are even willing to push back when another similar looking picture or logo tries to say the same things or evoke the same thoughts and feelings as the circle with 3 spikes? So this is actually what we call branding. This is the power of branding. The power of branding is what people think of you. It's not what you say about yourself. It's more of what people think of you. So, and the value of a brand can actually be quantified. Right? If you look at the third graph from the bottom, Mercedes-Benz is quantified at 48.6 billion US dollars. This is in 2008, and this is not the company. This is not the company's worth. This is the worth of the Mercedes brand name itself, right? So brands have tremendous worth, and this is not just only for corporate brands, not only for large brands. Every brand in the world, every name in the world has a certain value to it. We may not realize it in sense of dollars and cents, but there is some value to every name in the world. To further illustrate this, let's talk about Nokia. In 2018, Nokia's brand is worth $8.4 billion. Now, Nokia is a very interesting case study in branding, because why? When Nokia was once the biggest phone manufacturer in the world, and I think they have something like 40% of the world market. But with iPhone, BlackBerry, and Android phones coming up, they really fell very, very far behind, and they couldn't catch up. And I think it was in 2015, 2016, Microsoft wanted to enter the smartphone market, and they bought over Nokia for only $350 million, which was a steal. But Microsoft really failed at the smartphone market, and what they have done is they've sold off the Nokia brand. The Nokia brand is now held by a company called HMD. And HMD is actually not a phone manufacturer. They're more like a project manager, right? They outsource the manufacturing of the phones to a company. They license the technology from a company. They use Android as their operating system. So basically, HMD is just a project manager to market phones, to produce and market phones under the brand of Nokia. So Nokia, the handphone manufacturer, does not exist anymore, right? So the handphones, the smartphones are being marketed solely on the power of Nokia brand. And from 5 years ago, when the company was bought for $350 million, the name Nokia itself today is worth, in 2018, is worth $8.4 billion. So there is value in the name. Now, bringing back to personal, look at this person. What are the brand values that, or rather, what are the ideas or the words or the thoughts that you normally come to your mind when you see him? I think most of us would consider as rebel, non-conformist. He does his own thing, right? Achiever, because wow, he started Virgin Airlines. He started Virgin Records. Then he started Virgin Airlines. So he has a certain set of values that he's known for, right? But then, what about this person? How many of you know him? Okay, those of you who know him, maybe you can drop his name in the chat box. Let's see who knows him. Nobody. Oh gosh. All right. I'm sure some of you know him, but just very quickly, this is Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is actually a very, very successful actor. He's been acting, I think, since he was 10. So his career has spanned over, I think, 20, 25 years. But very few people know him. Or at least in this part of the world, very, very few people know him, right? So why is that? Why do people look at Richard Branson and immediately they have this picture of rebel, self-made man, high achiever, go-getter, all this kind of stuff, and there are people aspiring to be like Richard Branson, but when you see Joseph Gordon-Levitt, it's a question mark. And I don't think many people aspire to be Joseph Gordon-Levitt. So this is the power of a name, even at the individual level, right? So this all comes down to the 3 P's of branding. Whether you're personal branding or whether you're corporate branding, it all comes down to 3 P's of branding. The first P is your proposition, right? Proposition are the values that you are putting out into the market, either as a corporate or as a person, right? Now, some of you might be thinking, no, I'm not putting out any brand values in the market as a human being, as a person, as a professional, because in a personal branding context, right? Well, you may be surprised because personal branding and the value proposition is actually not just what you say you are putting out into the market. For example, I know people who portray themselves as a very successful person, a person who has made it in the world, and they portray themselves as such on social media. They wear the expensive, their Bell watches, their Patek Philippe, whatever it is, and they take selfies in Mercedes, in BMWs. But I know one such person, and I know where he lives. I know the car that he actually drives, and you might get away with it for a while by portraying these brand values, right? You are successful, you are rich, you are, you've made it, you know this person, you have this kind of cars, but actually that's not who he really is. So, and he will be found out. What our brand values are in the market are actually who we are. It's not just what we say we are, it's who we really are. And how we behave, how we talk, how we make decisions, and how those things, behavior, our words, our decisions affect each other and affect the people around us and affect the work that we do. Those are already building up the value proposition that we have in the market. Whether we are a procrastinator, whether we are a brilliant thinker, whether we are a very efficient person, whether we are a creative person, or whether we are a very straight person, those are the value propositions we are already putting out into the market. And this creates the perception of the people's perception of us, those who are around us. And this is why I say, you can say whatever you like about yourself, but the real essence of branding is what people see of us, what people experience of us, what people hear us saying, what people see us doing, what people experience the effects of our actions in the market. Excuse me. So, if they see that what we say about our values, let's say we say that, okay, we are a very green person. I am a very green person. I'm committed to sustainability. I'm committed to preserving the environment. But I have no problem going to the shop and tapao teh tarik, whatever food, carrying plastic bags every day, 3 times a day, 4 times a day, or driving 5 minutes to the shop and coming out with bags and bags of groceries. This is not jiving with what we say as somebody who protects the environment. Our actions by burning fuel, using plastic disposable packaging all the time, blah, blah, blah. When people see this, they see a mismatch. So, well, guess what they're going to believe? Are they going to believe your words, or are they going to believe what they see of you, right? And I think all of us know actions speak louder than words. So perception of people of you is what forms your personal brand, not what you say you are. And over time, as people repeatedly experience what you are, you can say, like I said, you can say whatever you are, but people will perceive you based on what they experience of you. And as they continuously experience you in that way, as they continuously see the things that you consistently do, as they consistently hear the words that you consistently say, as they consistently feel the things that, the effects of what you do, then that positions you in the market, right? So their perception of you is repeatedly being confirmed and reconfirmed and reconfirmed. So if Mercedes, for example, if Mercedes broke down once, you see a Mercedes breaking down at the roadside, you will say, oh man, that guy is so unlucky. His car broke down at the roadside. If you see 2 Mercedes breaking down at the roadside in a week, wow, this is wow, what's happening with Mercedes? If you see 2 Mercedes breaking down on the same day, wow, Mercedes, what's going on? Seriously, is something wrong with the Mercedes cars? If you see 2 Mercedes breaking down on the same day every other week, then you will start to have, wow, I'm really doubtful about the quality of Mercedes cars these days, right? So perception, you can say whatever you like about yourself in the market in terms of branding, but perception will always be formed by people's experience of you. And as they consistently experience your words, actions, and decisions, that will place you in a position in their mind. And this position, once it's set, it's very difficult to change. If you have a certain reputation for, let's say, for example, bad temper, and you went for anger management classes and it has really helped you and you have really mellowed down, it's going to take some time for that positioning of bad-tempered person to change, because people are going to have to experience your new values, reset their perception of you, and continuously, consistently experience that new you in order to create a new position in your mind, in their minds. So, okay, do you really need personal branding? If it's important for you to be known for something, yes. What do you want to be known for in the market? If you're an independent consultant, self-employed, freelancer, what do you want to be known for in the market? If you are a company owner, right? What do you want to be known for as a owner of the company? Because you are the face of the company. You represent your company, right? Especially in important deals. If you are a C-suite, you represent your company as well, right? What is important? How important is it for you to be known for something, right? And that reputation actually helps you in your work, because if you are a C-suite, for example, and you're joining a company as who's having trouble, if you have a reputation as a turnaround expert, well, guess what? You are going to go in, and people are going to have this perception of you. You're going to come in and turn things around, and that's going to help you in your work, because people are ready in their mind that this is going to happen, right? So they're not uncertain about things. So it's important to be known for something. Then yes, you need personal branding. In fact, you are already a personal brand now. Your personal brand is whatever people say about you when you're not in the room. As I mentioned just now, your personal brand is not just what you say you are, it's basically what other people experience who you are. And as they start talking to each other, as the the word goes out in the market, that builds up your reputation. So basically, your personal brand is your reputation, right? In other words. Now, a lot of people think that, okay, if I want to build up my personal brand, I'm going to have to say these things about myself. And I've been there, right? I've gone through this. I've struggled with this as well. So you want to build your personal brand, so you start to showcase, okay, I've got this skill, I've got this skill, I've got this qualification, I've got this experience, I've handled this level of clients, and all that kind of stuff, right? But the thing is, you're not the only one saying that. The next 50 people are also saying, I have this skill, I have this expertise, I have this experience, I have these qualifications, I've handled this level of clients. So you don't need 50, you just need 3 or 2. If 2 people stand together and they have the similar level of experience, similar level of expertise, similar level of client servicing experience, similar level of qualification, what's going to set you apart? Right? You're going to look like just another apple in a whole basket full of apples. That's the mistake I made, right? But because I have some branding experience in my advertising work, when I started on my personal branding, I started to think that, okay, I need to showcase this, showcase that, showcase this. And then I realized, no, if I showcase this, I can't compete with people higher than me. I can't stand out from people at the same level as me, right? So what's the point? People who are lower experienced than me, I don't need to compete with them. So what am I doing? I have no differentiating factor. I have no advantage of people perceiving me in the market. So that's why I started on a different track. Right now, if you're an employee, I still remember those days. When employees, they will size up companies. They will go to websites like Glassdoor, and then they'll look at what other people say about this company. Whether it's worth working there or not. Well, guess what? Now employers stalk employees' social media. The tables have turned. So I myself, I know, because I'm on retainer with a company, and I work very closely with them, and when I hear that they are interviewing staff, first thing they do is always social media. Let's look at their LinkedIn. What are they doing? Do they have a Facebook page? I want to know what this person is up to. Who is this person? They want to know. Just as employees want to know the employer, employers now also have avenues to try and get to know employees. So personal branding is also important for employees. Now, what is personal branding? It is basically the convergence between how you see yourself, right? Your own perception of yourself, who you are, what your skills are and all that, and what other people see about you, as I explained just now. The convergence of these two are your personal brand. Now, a lot of people, what they do is they try and craft an image. They try and craft a certain facade of themselves, right? So it covers up more of who they are and presents more of who they want people to see they are, right? Well, I'm not saying this is wrong, but I would rather take a different way of doing it, right? The personal brand is more about you, who you really are. And this is important because why? To me, if you are crafting a personal image based on an image, just based on an image, based on a facade, based on a veneer, you can't carry the facade forever. You can't live the facade 24/7. It's not you. It's not really you. So you are basically, if you do that, what you're doing is you're creating a cardboard cutout of yourself, and then you need to carry that cardboard cutout, throughout the day, 24/7. Anytime that anyone is looking at you, you got to have that with you, right? And you can only put it down when no one is seeing you. And how are you going to live like that? How can anyone live with a facade, carrying around a facade with them 24/7? So to me, personal branding is all about you, the authentic you. So a lot of people just focus on the image, or rather image becomes the main thing. But in actual fact, it should be also about your mission, your values, and your vision for your life and your career. And this is really important for me because, as I mentioned just now, if you are carrying around a facade, eventually you will break down. You can't live a facade. It's not you. So eventually you'll break down in the sense that you get tired and you get mental health issues. You get exhausted. Something called the imposter syndrome now, where you always wonder whether you're really living up to that image expected of you, or you might break down eventually one day from being so tired, and your real self comes out, especially in a crisis situation. You might have a very carefully crafted image of yourself, but in a crisis situation, that's where the test of our character comes, and that's where we sometimes, when we break down, that's where people see who we are really inside. And when that time comes, it shatters everybody's image of you that you have created. And as I mentioned just now, image built up is difficult to reset. Image broken is also difficult to reset, right? Because that's the people's perception of you already. So my take is, your personal brand is your authentic personal story. It has to come from who you are, really who you are, not a facade of who you want people to see you as, who you want people to see you as. As Oscar Wilde says, be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. So this is usually what happens in a lot of people who do personal branding. I'm not saying everyone, don't get me wrong, but many people do it like this. Who they are really is hidden away inside, deep inside, while they build an image of themselves outside. What I'm advocating is, if you want to be known for something, if you want to be known as a certain person having certain brand values, right? So you shouldn't construct an image based on those brand values. What you should be doing is growing yourself, growing who you are, personal development, growing your character, growing your skill set, growing your mindset, especially growing your soft skills, growing your EQ, whatever it is, growing who you really are until you can embody the personal brand that you aspire to be. If you're not there yet, I would say fine. Let that be your personal brand for this moment, that you are aspiring, that you are on a journey of growth, that you are discovering this, that you are discovering the brand values, and you're growing in the brand values. I think in the age of social media today, that has become acceptable, very, very acceptable, right? Nobody expects you to be perfect. Everybody understands that we are living in a screwed up world at this point, especially at this point when everything is so tense and uncertain. So it's okay as a personal brand to showcase that you are actually on a journey of personal growth. Well, unless of course you are already somewhere up there or you are aspiring to a certain level, then fine. I would say you can put up a curate or create or craft a personal brand that is of a certain level. But I would say don't just leave it at that. Don't just leave it as a facade. Grow yourself. Really invest in yourself and grow yourself until you are able to embody that level of personal branding that you are creating for yourself, right? And that, if anything else you don't remember today, I would say remember this, right? Don't let your personal branding be just a facade. Don't let your personal branding be just an image, right? If you aspire to that level of brand values, then grow yourself to embody fully those brand values. Because when that happens, then you don't need to be carrying a facade all the time. You don't need to worry about whether you're being an imposter or not. Because when people experience you, they are experiencing you for who you really are. They are not dealing with the facade of who you are. They are dealing with who you are, really. And the benefit is people can recognize and they can feel authenticity. Because in this world, there are so many people putting up, sorry to say, there are so many people putting up an image of themselves, right? And it's very difficult to find people who are really authentic. And of course, people appreciate it because they understand it's very scary to be authentic in front of everybody, right? Because if you're authentic in front of everybody, it's you have the risk of being judged, you have the risk of being criticized. But guess what? If you're putting up a facade, some people might actually judge you for your facade and criticize you for your facade anyway. So to me, I would say, if that's going to be the case anyway, why don't you be real? Because if you're real, you stand a better chance of attracting people who appreciate authenticity, who appreciate you for who you really are, for appreciate you for the value that you really bring. And that makes for very good, strong business relationships because there is a very high level of trust already built in because of the authenticity. Right. 5 ways you benefit from developing your personal brand. First, you get to discover your purpose because it's from you. It's from who you really are, right? So if you're not building a facade, that means you have to be who you really are. And you cannot build an effective brand based on who you really are if you do not have a strong purpose in your life, right? So purpose is fundamental for living a truly fulfilling life. Let me give you an example. My mom came from a very, very poor family, and her purpose in life is to never be poor again. So that drives every single thought, every single action, every single decision that she makes throughout her adult life, right? The way she manages her money, the way she saves her money, the way she invests her money is all from this purpose, right? Now, did she actually sit down, okay, I want to do a personal branding of myself, No, she didn't, right? She was just very authentically living out from her personal purpose, her personal values, right? And whatever she said, whatever she did, whatever decisions she made, and the impacts of those decisions is based on this purpose. Remember, as I mentioned just now, whatever decision you make, whatever words that you say, whatever things that you do, all of these form the perception of you and eventually will develop a position of you in people's mind. So my mom, yes, is actually very, very well known as somebody who is very, very careful with the money, right? So she didn't write down her purpose, but she knew her purpose. And all of us have a purpose, actually, if you think about it. But if you are coming from, if you are doing personal branding coming from a angle of authenticity, really coming from who you really are instead of creating a facade, then you need to really discover your purpose. For example, if you want to create a brand that is known for certain things, for example, efficiency or wisdom, for example, then you need to really understand yourself. Are you efficient? Are you wise? Are you at a level of efficiency that you can call yourself as a thought leader in this area, or wise to the level you can call yourself a thought leader in whatever area that you have? If not, then grow yourself to that point, right? To embody those brand values that you want. And that's where you start to discover your purpose. And then once you have your purpose, then you can live your passion, right? Because your purpose drives your passion. Just like my mom, her purpose is to never be poor again. So that drives her passion. It's fundamental to achieving your goals, right? So her passion is to, first of all, because she's very poor. She came from very poor and does not want to go back into poverty, right? So she very, very risk averse. If she makes an investment, she does not want that investment to fail. I mean, nobody wants us to fail, but her risk appetite is very, very low, because if she loses that money, the principal of her investment, then, well, that's one step closer to being poor again, right? So as far as possible, she will have capital guarantee investments. So it's always properties, blue chip funds, bonds. It's only all these very, very stable investments, right? You won't find her going to what you call it, forex markets, for example, where it's very high volatility, right? You will never find her in high volatility markets. So whatever branding that you have decided for yourself, your brand values, and if you have defined those brand values and you're growing into those brand values, that's where you discover what your passions really are. For me personally, I discovered my passion is really about teaching and sharing, and this is why I'm doing this, right? I thought I wanted to do, I thought I wanted to be a multi-millionaire. I wanted to make a lot of money last time. So the ends justify the means, right? I can do whatever it is to achieve my goals. But I realized that I don't function that way. So right now I've discovered my purpose and I'm living my passion right now. I'm doing what I love to do. And I'm very, very fortunate that I'm in that position, honestly. So, and that is helping me to live my passion today, right? And this has really helped me to achieve my goals. Right now, I'm doing all these webinars, but I can see that people are starting to inquire about certain other services from me as well. So that's where the opportunities come in, which is similar to what I want to tell you here, right? When you're living your passion, then you have a lot of stories to tell. And when people see your stories and they know that these are authentic stories, these are not just selfies in a car or in a mansion or with your watch, holding up your hand like this. So this is not just a facade. It's true, it's authentic. And this is what makes you unique. it is not your achievement. It is not your level of clients servicing. It is not your level of qualification. It's not your level of expertise, because there are so many people in your market who have a similar qualification as you, right? So what makes you stand apart is your authentic story. So once you have your purpose, once you're living your passion and the things that you do, it's easy to share your story then, because everything that you do is, wow, this is meaningful to me, I'll share it. What I did, this I gain insight from it because I'm passionate about it, so I share it. So as you share these stories, people experience who you really are. They experience your authenticity. They experience the way you think. They experience the way you see things, the way you process information, the way you interact with people. And that's what makes you unique. And that's what makes people develop a perception of you and a position of you. And that's when you start to attract like-minded people. As I mentioned just now, things happen when you're authentic, and that's where you get to build very strong relationships, which can have business benefit. Or if it doesn't have business benefit, well, it doesn't matter, because you gain great friends, right? So when you have these quality relationships, it always leads to quality opportunities. Because why? You're attracting people who like you for who you really are, not for your facade. They're not impressed by your facade necessarily, but they like you. They like what they see in you, right? And because they like you, chances of manipulating you is there, but I would say it's less, right? And because of the high level of trust developed, there's a good relationship there. It's always easier to get things done. It's always easier to discuss opportunities and collaborations. You know, these are the opportunities that come about when you have an authentic brand. And you get to manage your reputation. Now, I used to be very, very opinionated in terms of politics in Malaysia. And I used to, bitch about clients on social media. And I realized that this doesn't work, right? Yes, you want to be authentic, but you also want to be careful to curate your brand, right? This is not being fake, but you do want to present the best version of yourself out there, right? I mean, you can say you want to be authentic, but there's nothing inauthentic about presenting the best version of yourself to the market, right? What's inauthentic about that? It's you. It's really you. It's just the best version of you. So knowing what we want to be known for, the reputation that we want to have, is very, very important. Because as I discovered, in polite society, there are 3 things that you don't mention, right? To avoid unnecessary controversy. You avoid topics about sex, religion, politics. So I did a lot of politics commentary and all that, and bitching about clients, and it got noticed. I had a client who noticed what I said, even though I didn't mention names or too many specifics, and she came and talked to me about it, and I realized, oh my. Okay, so from then onwards, I realized, okay, we need to manage our reputation. We need to manage our digital footprints, right? As I mentioned, as Norman mentioned in the introduction, we are leaving digital footprints everywhere. Why don't you go and Google yourself after this and see what comes up, right? If it comes up negative, then you need to manage your reputation. If it comes up positive, very good, continue what you're doing. If it comes up nothing, well, if you need to be known for something, then that's where you need to manage your reputation as well, right? In my journey of personal branding, I Google myself, and because I want to see what I'm known for, and it's really enlightening sometimes. What are you known for, or rather, even if you are, not known for anything, you're invisible even on Google, the most powerful search engine in the world. Okay, very quickly, the 9 steps to define your personal brand. first you have to identify your strengths and talents. This is part of being authentically you, right? Don't present the facade of who you're not really yet. If you have very strong strengths and talents, okay, fine, showcase that. If you have a little bit of strengths and talents that you think are what you call the minimum viable product, something that you can start to put out in the market, fine, showcase that. But don't oversell and say that you are this leading, you are that brilliant. Just be honest, but present the best version of yourself, right? So I always say, some people tell me, oh, I only have 2 years experience, how am I going to present myself? Well, present yourself as young and dynamic and eager to prove yourself, right? Or if you have 20 years experience and people tell me, no, I don't want to be known as somebody who is outdated and all that. Well, present yourself as steady, rock solid, highly experienced. There's always a way to present yourself, but you have to be honest with what your strengths and talents are, right? Don't over represent or under represent. Weaken your weaknesses. This is very important, and this is part of being authentic, right? So you don't pretend it doesn't experience, you don't pretend that it doesn't exist, but you need to deal with it yourself, part of your personal growth. Identify your core values. All of us already are living our core values at the moment. This is very true. You might not realize it, but if you think about yourself, every decision you make, everything that you do has a reason. It comes from a certain place in you where you have all your values, right? So I have people who say, I have clients actually, okay, I'm not going to mention names, but I have clients who say that, oh, we aspire to this kind of brand, we want to have this kind of brand voice, and we want to have this kind of brand image. But when I go and work with them, no, we can't say this, but that brand is saying that. No, I don't want to say this, I don't want to say that. So yeah, you can say what you want, but actually what you do, that is the one that really matters, right? So that client says they aspire to this kind of brand, but what they actually do is something else altogether. So their values, their real internal values, are not aligned with the values that they say they want to have. It's misaligned. So if you want to be effective in your personal branding, identify your core values. What are the core values that you really want to embody as a personal brand? And be honest with yourself. If you have it, good. If you don't have it, grow yourself until you can embody those values, right? So that it can be an authentic brand. Then you can start to pursue your passions. Once you have your purpose, once you have your values, then everything you do comes naturally from that, right? So you are living from your values, you are living from your purpose, and that's where you know what you want to do, and you can be very passionate about it, right? So your passion fuels your action. Then you have you define your purpose. As a brand, why are you doing the things that you do? What is the problem you want to solve in the world? What are the issues that you are going to address that is passionate for you? So once you have this, you can start to create your personal brand vision, right? How do you want to live your life? How do you want to build your career? Who are the specific people that you want to help? How are you going to deal with them, knowing who you are and knowing who they are, right? So you see where all this fits together? And then you start to build your brand with tools. Like I said, once you have your purpose, your values, your mission, and your vision together, finding the tools to build your brand is not difficult, right? Depending on who your target market are. If you are B2C, then maybe you can go for Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all those very mass consumer market type of platforms. If you're B2B, then LinkedIn is now currently one of the very good platforms. But find the platforms where you can showcase who you are, what you do, right? Don't be afraid to shout out who you are. And actually, this one is where you really need to sit down and define where your presence is going to be, right? Because presence is the most important. If you're not present, people don't know you, don't know who you are, where to find you, how to contact you, what you stand for, then, then what are you doing personal branding for, right? Personal branding is actually to showcase yourself. Okay, not to boast, but to let people know that, hey, this is who I am, this is the value I bring to the market, and this is the value I can bring to you, right? So, and that's where you make an impact, because you're being authentic, you are being real in the market. And I can tell you, being real in the market is very, very rare at the moment. More people are discovering this, but I see the conversations that they're having about being authentic. It makes it sound like authenticity is something you can put on in the morning, and do your branding stuff, whatever it is, and then at night you can take it off. That's not how authenticity works. Authenticity is you. It's who you really are. It's how you walk, how you talk, how you present yourself, right? How you make your decisions. That's you. The image, what color shirt you wear, what color shirt you wear to meetings, the words that you choose to use when you speak to people. Yeah, the front-facing image is what you can put on and put off. Right now, I'm speaking to you in proper English. After this webinar, when I go and talk to my family, I'm not going to sound like this, right? Because I'm putting on an image appropriate for the event, but I'm still coming from authenticity, right? So finally, be yourself. Rock the world. Nobody can replace you. You are the only factor that differentiates you from everyone else, right? There are 1,000,001 people out there in the whole world, and probably more, who are your equivalent. But there's only one you. 1,000,001 people out there in the world who are probably your equivalent in terms of expertise, education, experience, but there is only one you. And that is the only differentiating factor in personal branding. So be yourself, be your true self, be your authentic self. And that's what's going to make you successful in your personal branding. Okay, that is the end of my webinar. I think Norman is very, very glad because I am on time.
No, I'm not glad. I'm still engrossed with your sharing, lah, Chiseng. Very interesting, very interesting. So we came to the session where we take questions from our attendees. So if you guys got any questions, just drop it in the Q&A section, and we will take them. Chiseng, yeah, I mean, I'm very interested in the point that you say that personal branding is basically who you think you are is who you will be, right? That's interesting because I live with that mantra as well. As if it's meant to be, it's up to me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's this very famous saying that I'm women hear me roar, because back in these 80s, right, and 70s, women were perceived to be very weak,
Right.
homemakers, right?
Right.
So then there was this mantra that was going all around, like I'm women hear me roar, and
Yeah.
women somewhat are now very prominent in the workforce right
Yeah.
now, right? You have
Right.
managers and construction workers, and every aspect and every field you have women in there, right?
Yeah.
There is no difference. It's interesting. I also thought about this where is it very easy for people to get influenced when you're building a personal brand, right? Like for example, if you take like Android and Apple, right? So you have people who use Apple and then they say, no, I'm not going to change the Android. It's the OS, the OS just doesn't work for me, right? And then you have people who use Android and they tend to share the same opinion, right, with their devices. But after which, when they change just like maybe for a few days, right, and they go like, hey, Android is better than Apple, so the perception changed very fast. Is that something that actually happens in people's personal branding? They change their outlook, they change their way of doing things.
I think there has to be a significant event happening, in the sense that, for example, let's say I'm known as a very temperamental person, right? And people see me in the office all the time as temperamental, and then clients see me also, they understand that I'm temperamental. But suddenly one day they see me feeding the poor, right? So that becomes like a triggering, a triggering event that will start you thinking, hey, maybe this person not as bad as I thought. So then the perception starts to shift. It might be like temperamental plus something else. So yeah, there always needs to be a triggering event. So like for example, the triggering event between Android and iPhone,
iOS, yeah.
Yeah, it's always trying it for the first time for whatever reason. Somebody bought them a new phone, so I have to use it, or I got a company phone, so I have to use it. That is one way. Or I bought my family a phone. There's always some kind of triggering event. Otherwise, they are very, very comfortable in where they are.
Right. So you're saying that there needs to be a trigger or a specific event that changes a person's perception of things.
Yeah, and it's not only one. That one event might trigger something, but if it doesn't happen consistently, then it's just like, oh yeah, in the people's mind, it's like, yeah, it was just an anomaly, and it will be forgotten over time. But if they experience it consistently, then the perception starts to change.
Right.
So it's always, back to the 3 Ps. The value proposition has to be confirmed by people's perception of you, the experience of you, and it has to be constantly reinforced by the consistent experience of it. That will establish the position in people's mind.
Right. Okay. So now the question, a personal question to you. If, for example, a convict that just got out of jail, right?
Oh man.
He applies for work.
Very difficult.
Would you hire him?
Very, very difficult. Would I hire him? Wow, that's a tough question. Seriously, because if you're a convict and you've gone to jail, especially for a serious crime, right, like harming people, yeah, it is very, very difficult because if somebody suspects you, even suspects you, is enough to put questions into people's mind, right? But if you're a convict, that means society has confirmed this about you, enough for you to be put away for this amount of time. That will be very, very difficult to overcome.
Right.
So it will take, if the person has really changed, it will take a lot of efforts, and it will take people who are very big-hearted, who are willing to give him that chance, so that he can create a new situation, right? A new triggering situation. So, for example, I hired him to work in my restaurant. That's the first triggering, right? And then consistently he performs well in the restaurant, right? So that reinforces that new image of him, and then slowly you can start to reposition in people's mind.
So it's important to also start from the bottom and understand how do you actually want to brand yourself before you even start, eh?
Yeah.
Right.
We are already brand, actually. Every one of us are already a brand, whether we realize it or not. All the things that we do, all the things that we say, all the decisions that we make have already an impact on the world around us, and that has already built up an image of us. Like my mom, back to my mom's example, she is known as an iron lady. She's very, very well known around her office area in her hometown. Because everywhere she goes, when she goes shopping, she's 70 plus, so when she goes shopping, it was back in the 80s, 70s, 90s. And those are the days where you can still haggle with shopkeepers. And yeah, so because of her, I'm not going back to poverty, so I'm going to hold on to my money as hard as possible. So that comes out in the behavior of, I'm going to haggle for the best price, I'm not going to let you take advantage of me and profit from me that much, blah, blah, blah. So because of that, she's very, very well known as the Iron Lady around her office area.
Okay.
So
Right.
yeah, so did she consciously sit down and plan her brand to be like that? No, it's just who she is. Right. So we are already brands. We are all of us have reputation in the market. All of us
Mhm.
are already brands.
Right. Is it? Would you say it's easier to brand yourself now in this time and age?
Uh, Easier.
With social media and all.
I want to qualify this. Uh, as I said, you're already a brand, so
Mhm.
yes, it's easier. In fact, everything we do is so obvious now with the social media. You know, our digital footprints are everywhere. But is it easier to construct or reconstruct a brand? That really depends on where we are starting, right?
Right.
But the tools are there. The tools are there. So I was asked this question also by somebody, you know, a newbie, 1 or 2 years experience in the market,
Mm-hmm.
and she wanted to know how to establish yourself as a freelancer. You know, yeah, I said, well, if you're gonna go on track record, you're only 2 years. You can't compete on that. You wanna compete on experience, also cannot. You know, what can you compete?
Hmm.
So
True.
you compete on who you are. Who are you? How do you think? How do you see the world? How do you deal with clients? How do you approach your work? These are the stuff that you can showcase. In my days, if I was a 2 year newbie and I wanted to come out as a freelancer, in fact, I was a 2 year newbie when I came out to be a freelancer, it was impossible. I got no network. I got no client network. I got no supplier network. I got no peer network. So it's very, very difficult. But today, yes, you have social media at your fingertips. It's easy in that sense to showcase who you are. Right? Just go on whatever platform you choose, suitable where your markets are,
Mm-hmm.
whether B2B, B2C, whatever it is, and just start putting out content that showcase
Hmm.
who you are, showcase what you think. Of course, you got to have a content strategy, lah, right? To
Yes.
direct the content so that you're not all over the place.
I am. I am. I mean, I have to admit, I am also a guilty party where someone applies for a job. I will go to their social media and check it out first.
Right?
Yeah. To see how their lifestyle is, right?
Correct.
It's all online, right? It's so easy to tell whether a person is lying or not
Uh,
nowadays,
yeah, and
right?
sometimes it's amazing. Sometimes I go to LinkedIn and people send me their connection requests
Hmm.
on their education. Well, it looks quite okay. On their work experience, it's a bit sketchy. But I look at the pictures. Wow, bikini pic, ultra mini dress. Okay, no, I don't want my wife suddenly come and see my open laptop and then who is this person you're adding in your network,
True. Well,
right?
the question comes in for young graduates that are looking for a job. How would you say they should start with their personal branding? Should they have a separate account on social media, or should they just not share social media content?
Or be who you are. Be who you are. Be the best version of who you are. Showcase the best version of who you are. I don't think you can get away with having two social media accounts, you know, one professional, one private.
Mhm.
Well, maybe can, but then you will have to set your private social account to private lah, only friends. How many of you are willing to do that, right? So yeah, so I would say just be who you are. Be the best version of who you are.
Right. So you just have to have one, but make sure that
Yeah,
you maintain a status quo when you when you share
correct.
things
Either
on it,
that or
right?
like you said, just set your privacy settings on your personal social media to the highest. But where's the fun in that, right? But what I've learned is if I, for example, if I want to bitch about something,
Mm-hmm.
I try to turn it more positive.
Mm.
I don't go full rant on social media. If I want to go full rant, I find my friends are full rant there, right? Face to face. But I don't go full rant on social media. And I think this is really common on social media these days. People go full ranting on social media because, you know, when they get their likes and they get their comments, you know, oh yeah, it's very validating, it's very soothing. Yes, for people who are probably your peers. It's fun, it's soothing. But when your employers, your potential employers, your clients, your potential clients search for you on social media and they see this, what's the image you're going to give them? Right? So if you need to rant, if you really, really need to rant on social media, do it in a positive way. Find a way to do it positively. So what I do sometimes is I will describe the situation. This is what I think can be improved. This is what I think should have been done. No? So it's positive. It showcases that I'm not just ranting. I can think about it and find solutions. No? So it's also showcasing me how I think as well.
Right. It sounds like as if we are all now celebrities. Gone were the days where only celebrities have managers brand managers to help them manage their image.
Yeah. Right. Now with social media, really the game has really changed. And social media is becoming more and more pervasive. You know, I mean our data is really available 24/7. And if you have like multiple social media accounts, then there is multiple channels for people to find you.
Yes, true. Yeah. Well, that's all the time we have for Q&As for today, Chiseng. Is there any last parting words you want to share with the guests, attendees?
I would say back to my key point, which is personal branding. If you want it to be really effortless, right? You don't want to have the sense of you're carrying a burden of a facade. It really has to come from yourself, who you really are, right? Grow yourself to be embodying the brand values that you stand for, and then it really becomes effortless. You don't need to think about content because your mind is always thinking about what you're going to do today, right? That's all content for you to put out.
Right.
Your experience of everything that you do every day, that's content for you to put out because it's all about your passion. It's all about your purpose.
True. Thank you so much, Chiseng, for today's sharing. Yeah, we will catch you up the next 2 weeks from now, right?
Right. So thank you everyone for being here, and thank you to Norman for giving me this platform. Yeah, hope to see everyone again 2 weeks from now.
Yes.
So that one is a little bit more heavy in that topic.
Right. True. So for all those who are still here, if you are interested in joining us for the next session on the 8th of October, which is this Thursday, we are sharing on how you can automate stuff on Teams, right? So you can just scan this QR code and join us. The QR code is displayed on the screen, so you can join us on this Thursday. And for feedbacks, if you want to share with us your feedbacks for today's session, just scan the QR code as well, and there'll be a form for you to fill up. Right. So thank you very much, everyone, for participating in today's webinar. We'll see you again.
Thanks,
Chiseng.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.